Hey guys. Kind of laughing at myself because I had a false start on this. One of the reasons is I have so little contact with anybody outside of a very small existence of work and health and all of that I don't know, even think about doing these videos, it's really, really hard. It's really hard for me to put my thoughts together in any way for other people to hear. I clearly just have to get out more. This is the hardest part of my job. Is the only hard part really is the need to be your own promoter and promoting and talking about the work. It's so much easier for me to just work really, really long hours. I mean, I don't really take days off. And that's not a braggy thing at all. It's not for everybody. Some people are just built that way. Like a lot of my anxieties and my thought process and my sense of self-worth and all those kind of things comes through the work. So I enjoy working 7 days a week, and I take time off when I need it. Usually my body's telling me time to slow down. I can do all that. I can work multiple projects. I can hit my deadlines. But boy, it is hard to just talk about the work and process and promote work, I really admire people that it comes easier to. And you hear all of us talk about it, about how hard it is to promote your work or talk about it and stuff, but for some of us, it's definitely more than just a feeling. And I feel like I'm just getting worse at it as I get older. Like yesterday, we had the latest Murder Inc. trade paperback come out. And the day before that, we announced Murder Inc. is in development at Amazon. You'd think that would be really easy to talk about, but it just isn't. I think part of it too is like all the algorithms, the way that social media has changed, so that like even if you have an audience, most of them will never see your posts. So you kind of have this feeling of like, well, why am I even doing this while you're doing it? Hopefully you're doing it because it's fun. Like on TikTok, I have the teeniest, tiniest audience, but for some reason I really enjoy taking my videos there. Mostly because it's not me talking. I usually just have fun syncing it up to a sketch and then syncing it up to some music, and I just enjoy that. So that's easy. Actually talking about the work is hard. Promoting is hard. Anywho, this is for Galaxy of Madness, issue 4. This is Krios fighting a bunch of sort of Russ Manning style robots. I'm using a Karatuki brush pen, so this is like a refillable cartridge in here. What's nice about it is that I don't have to refill it. I could just keep moving. I do find it's harder to get certain details right with it, so I still bust out this brush pen, which is just a cheap watercolor brush. It just says Princeton Art and Brush on it or something, I think. I don't even know what that means. But the thing I like about traditional brushes is these Kuretake brush pens will give you kind of an overly consistent brush line. So it looks kind of the same every time. Also, sometimes, like right now, it's starting to bleed out a little bit. Like, it's got more ink on here than I'd like it to have. It's not a big deal. A lot of art tools, you'll find that there's a trade-off. Like, well, efficiency versus quality, or quality versus efficiency. Luckily, I have a very abstract, cartoony, looser style, so I don't need it to be all perfect, you know. I originally drew this all in Clip Studio, and I did enough passes on it and stuff, like just tightening up the lines and everything, that honestly, I could have just inked it in Clip Studio. And it would have been done by now. But, you know, I want to stay in touch with my analog style. And I want to stay comfortable to be able to work both ways. So I go back and forth. Also, because this series, everything was done digitally. There's no original art for any of the interior stuff. It's all digital art. So when I did the covers, I was like, well, this is the one thing I want to have something physical so that I can like sell and share with people and have something tangible with it. So right now I'm just going to go do the exterior lines with this, and then I'll do the interior stuff and some of the details with that other brush. Doing a lot of holding my breath when I ink. That also doesn't make it conducive to speaking while I'm working. Yeah, I hope you guys are checking out this series and you are really enjoying it. I love it. It really brought out some of my favorite stuff, my favorite kind of science fiction. I didn't even realize, which was like, I guess it's very Saturday morning cartoon kind of science fiction. It's not like hardcore, you know, like I like some fantasy aspects to it, some very light superhero kind of touch to the costumes. Yeah, very comic booky. You know, one of my favorite books growing up was Nexus. Steve Root is heavily influenced by Hanna-Barbera and Space Ghost specifically. In fact, I believe that this guy said that Space Ghost was basically their inspiration. So sorry I don't do more kind of reaching out online here. It's not just my social awkwardness, but you know, we live with multiple sclerosis in the house. My wife Taki has MS, so on top of the work, I'm a full-time caregiver. So I have plenty of time to work, but not enough energy in the day to think about, well, how do I craft this messaging and talk to people? It's not that I don't want to talk to people. I just, man, you know, between the nature of this work, I might have said this already, the nature of this work, the pandemic that we went through, and like with us, you know, we had real health issues, so, you know, it was a thing. And even without the health concerns, health still just keeps us from going places because it's just hard on Taki to go out, even socially, even locally. It exhausts her really easy. So yeah, we don't go out very much, even to see friends. We speak to them all the time on the phone and all that, but you know, I don't have the social skills anymore, and it even translates now into this. Like, this is hard for me to talk about. It's all I can think about really right now is how it's difficult for me to communicate. I just want to be an artist. I just want to draw and not worry about the rest of it. But at the same time, like, social media is a big part of why I have what I have, you know. So communicating with readers and viewers and all that, it's important. I'm so grateful for all the support, that people want to buy my books, you know, and they want to buy it because it's me. It's an amazing thing. So I think I just need to stop worrying, just stop thinking about it, just be myself. Sometimes that's just being quiet. See, I feel like I can get much finer control with this brush than I can with the Kara2K brush pen. You can get pretty fine with that, but I don't know. I feel like I can do a bit more here. More as in more of the finer details. If you are reading this series, leave a comment below. Like, what are you digging about it? For me, it's all about the characters. When Mags first approached me about it, I was like, it's so ambitious and there's a lot. I couldn't really commit to something that big. And then I read the characters and I was like, no, I love this. I have to be part of this. I showed it to Taki. She felt the same. And it was during the pandemic where like there was like, what was it, pencils down and stuff, and like the industry looked like it was gonna fall apart. So like we were like, all right, let's do something we normally wouldn't do, which is this longer series thing, and we'll just do it digitally and not worry about companies and all of that kind of stuff. And then just a bunch of things happened in between there. And we eventually found a home for it. By that point, I had drawn the first 5 issues, I think. But then I also just became involved in a bunch of other commitments, and Taki's health got a little more serious. So ultimately, we couldn't continue drawing the entire 10 issues like I had wanted to. And we were looking around for artists, and Victor Santos, who somebody I trust immensely. He's like, I feel like we were separated at birth in some way, you know. We see the world and comics very similarly. Like, we're both very much just about doing the work. He probably works more than I do, and he's probably faster than I am, which meant that like we could count on him, not only for the quality of work but to do the work, because comics is hard, and a lot of people can't follow through on deadlines and commitments, not for any other reasons than it's just hard. It's just really, really hard. It is like you're running, I don't know what, marathon, triathlon, I don't know. It's just hard, and you know, I don't blame when people can't quite keep up with it. I feel like half of the reason why I can keep up with it is just my own psychosis. Like, I get all of my sense of self-worth comes through my art. It is a sense of control, you know, in a world where there's all these bad things that can go on and you can't control anything. This is the one place where I can control things. And even though I can't really control it, like, you know, of course I want to be a better artist than I am and all of that. And only so much of that is in my control, but I don't know, there's nothing like diving into something you created yourself, your own world, whether it's this or William Newberry or Van Gogh or Murder Inc. or any of that stuff. Like, it's my happy place. And when I'm not drawing, like sometimes I'll get burned out and then you take some days off, and that's fine. But what will happen is, like, in between projects, which rarely happens because usually I have things overlapping, but sometimes I'm waiting on a script or something. And man, I go stir crazy if I don't have the work. Like, I always got some amount of work to do, and I can always just sketch and things, like, but without an actual assignment with a deadline attached to it, I'm so used to living like that I get dysregulated after a couple days. Like I can literally take a day or two off to do nothing. You know, do one of the other rare things that I enjoy doing, like going for hikes. You know, I can go for a hike or a drive without worrying about, well, I need to get home and finish these pages. So that's nice, right? But I can only put up with that for so long. Usually about 3, maybe 4 days, and then I start to get antsy. I start to get maybe neurotic, more neurotic. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I need to have my work. Thank God I'm into comics, because this really this is perfect blend of needing to work a lot and wanting to work a lot. Also, just because of like our health issues, Taki's MS, like again, thank God. Like we think about like if she had to have like an office job, how she would have to quit that at some point, and like how how much harder this would be if I had an office job or had to just go away someplace to work. You know, so grateful that I don't know. It's like our life and our relationship and our work seem to like prepare us for this life that we're living. I'm very grateful for it, because this wouldn't work for everybody, or even maybe even for us under different circumstances. But weirdly, it is. Taki's health is a struggle, but luckily our lifestyle isn't. Sure, I know I talked about not being able to associate with people anymore and that kind of stuff, but compared to challenges we faced in the past, that's not so bad. And it's fixable. I just need to be more social. I don't know if any of that made sense, because I'm like drawing and thinking and I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I'm making no sense. Shit. I guess there's a way I should be able to set this up so that I can do these live, like really live, and probably set my iPad over here so that I can see questions coming in. That's probably a way to do it. Guess it's time to use some rulers for the background here. And these, her fighting staff, stick staff, I don't know. All right, I think I'm just going to get to the meat of this. I'm just going to ink her figure, because there's going to be a long time to do the rest of this stuff, and I don't know that you guys can suffer through watching me do these little details while I babble endlessly about my neuroses and how grateful I am. Alright, so here we go. Just going to dive into it. Grab this brush I was using before, the Karatuki brush. I might not be pronouncing it right. I wish I hadn't cut this finger out of my glove. So I did this to keep the lead off me, and it helps me not smear stuff as much. But if I could remember to leave this fingertip on, because as I'm inking, the corner of my fingernail is kind of like scraping on the paper, and it plays around with, can interfere with the quality of the line. So I wish I had left that on there. Gloves are cool. Art gloves are cool. They're cool because, yeah, they help me stop from smearing. They also keep lead off my fingers, even though there's no lead on this particular piece. These longer, slightly longer lines like this, you can do them just over years of building up the confidence and practice. Well, I'm wondering if her bar, it's going over her shoulder here. I have it kind of behind the shoulder here, which also makes sense. I don't know. Oh, shit. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that works. Yeah, I'll have it going behind her head. I just wanted to know that before I drew this line here. So the lighting's going to be coming from underneath her, which is why I'm going to do this. Whatever kind of weird cowl thing she's got on here. Casting the shadow up. It'll look better once I lay it down. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do that. Let's put the lines here. That's too short. There we go. Anything you see me doing here, you have questions about, you can ask in the comments. And also, if there's anything like, how did you do X, Y, and Z? Usually the answer is experience. Like a long, steady line, with like freehanding a long, steady line. There's no secret to it. It's just a matter of years of practice. Like that stuff. It's not perfect, but I don't like it to be too perfect. It just takes years of practice, or these longer lines that I did, or these exterior lines I'm about to do. Let me not get too cocky. These might suck. Let's see. Yeah, I usually just do it. Also with this exterior, because of the shadow, it is going to be, I don't have to worry about screwing up the line too much, as long as it's not the exterior part of the line, because there's so much shadow going inside of it. Man, belt's a little wonky. Like the form and shape. It might be hard to tell because this gets deformed in the camera at the angle of the table and stuff like that. But I'll fix it digitally. And it's super minor. Like what I'm seeing is almost a hair width difference. Like this part should be up just slightly more. But it also might not matter once I have the shading in here. Those are her space shorts. Again, this is just time and confidence. It's almost like a math equation. Time plus confidence equals straight lines. I don't know. Maybe I'm full shit. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to do the shading with my other brush pen. I feel more confident with that. Not brush pen, just the actual brush. Krios is really fun to draw. I want to draw like a bigger character doing this action stuff. You know, you need variation in all things. And doing like the action character, the kick-ass character being a larger person was really fulfilling. I remember seeing this athlete recently. She's like one of these professional tumblers. Just doing amazing acrobatic stuff, and she was a larger person. And my God, she was just killing it, and she looked great. And I was like, yeah, let's see that. Let's see something different. She looks so strong. And again, it's all because of Mag's writing, just a compelling character. That's what pulled me into the whole thing. All right, I'm gonna bust out watercolor brush. My cheap watercolor brushes. I don't remember if I showed off this before. It's nothing to show off. It's just a number 2 round Princeton Art and brush. I think it's just a watercolor brush. I like to keep it simple. There are much better brushes out there. If you want a high quality brush, you should go check out somebody else's channel. All right, let's start with her. One of the things about a brush is really studying the tip. I don't know if it picks up in here. There's like this little curve, almost like a hook to it, the way that the brush is deformed naturally. And what I try to do is use that. I don't try and force the brush to do things that it can't do. Like I think about, well, what is the brush tip like? What is the shape that is most likely to lay down with the amount of pressure and angles that I'm going to use them at? And then that usually works out. An analogy might be like, if you're from a cold part of the country and you got a lot of snow and you're used to driving, you know, when you're driving your car, you're really controlling everything about it. But when you're driving in the snow, the road and the amount of ice and snow is going to dictate how you move, right? And if you fight against that, you're going to slide and maybe crash or lose control at the very least. But if you listen to the road, if you look at how much snow or ice there is, you can work with it. So that's what I try to do with my brushes. I just think about what the shape is of the brush tip. Like being able to go thick and then pull it in to get thin here. That's because I'm paying attention to the actual tip of the brush. Be one with the brush, or something like that. But for real, it sounds corny, but it's true. I'd stopped using these brushes for years. I was using all these synthetic, like the Karatuki brush pen and stuff, and they are good. But then I kind of got lost in those, forgetting why I used brushes in the first place, synthetic brushes. I'm not crazy about that thumb. I don't know. Maybe it'll come together. It's because it's kind of tangent there and stuff. I'm going to leave it for now. Sometimes when you make mistakes, I just like to leave them because when I look at them later, those mistakes or imperfections aren't as detrimental as I thought that they were. Sometimes they're fine. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And if I have to fix it, that's what the very last step of all of this is always digital. Pardon me. Let's do a little tiny bit of texturing here. I like to think of different parts of costumes and flesh as having different kinds of texture to them, even though I do very little texturing. So like this section of her outfit has some texture on it, whereas other parts won't. So a good example will be here in the pants. The shorts won't have any texturing on it. I might go back and change my mind, but I think I'm going to leave them like this. So see, I really like that. Like, there's just a certain amount of, like, I don't know, grittiness is the right word. There's tiny imperfections that just make it feel dimensional. Sometimes if these kind of textures and stuff are too perfect, they just look so cold and artificial. They don't really look like, I don't know. They don't look like they're actually just, ooh, too much ink on the brush. They don't look like they're actually describing a shape. They look like just, really good lines. This is almost perfect, but I had too much ink on the tip of that brush, so it like came out kind of chunky, a little sloppy looking. I'll clean it up. I don't want to add lines to it because it'll just thicken it out. I could smooth it out, but it would thicken out the lines. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. Fix it digitally. Just touch it up. See that little hook on the edge here? I'm going to make sure that that hook is guiding the tip of the brush. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy. All right, here's the part I'm dreading. That's the face. Let me finish this up first. Costume. And keep in mind, lights come from below, so it goes from thinner to thicker, from thin to thick, thin to thick. And let's give it just a tiny bit here. Ugh, I don't like that. Try and put some more feathering here. Hopefully this doesn't fuck it up. Meh, it's not great. It's not horrible. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, let's see what we can do with the face here. Meh. Needed to be slightly more on the outside of the line out here of her face. The volume of her face is not as round as it was on this side, but it's super minor. Easy enough to fix digitally if I want. But again, I want to wait to see how the rest of it comes together, because maybe I'm just overthinking it. And sometimes even a clear mistake, once it's in the context of the rest of the drawing, it's fine. It's kind of weird how that works out. And you never really know when it's going to happen. There's going to be some white lines going through her hair there to sort of describe how it's being pulled back, but I'm going to do that digitally. All right. Let's get to her nose. Keeping in mind the light is coming from below. She has these weird round eyebrows with there you go. Oof. Hard to do. Okay. I love how tiny this brush can get. Uh-oh, is she cross-eyed? Not so much. Let's get some shadow over her cheeks. All right. That was scary. You know, if you fuck the face up, you might as well start over. It depends on your deadlines. All right, I think I'm going to call it here. And maybe there'll be a part 2 where I walk you through the rest of it. But this is the meat and bones of it. Krios, doing some cool action stuff. Inking it with almost all brushes, right? Use a straight line on this, on her staff, but everything else is brush or the Kuretake brush pen. Alright, there's still more details and stuff to do that, but I think we're alright for now. Well, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for reading Galaxy of Madness. I hope you're enjoying all the issues. If you have questions, please put them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll check in from time to time, even if this is years later. And I think that's it. So, thanks, guys.